may be listening. Live in Los Angeles, iHeartRadio, Fox Sports Radio, FS1. Less than 10 minutes. Sam Darnold will be joining us. Just had mini camp for the New York Jets. Eric Dickerson this hour. And we got a fascinating story and a comparison in best for last. So tonight the Sixers-Celtics play. Love Ben Simmons. Think Boston probably wraps up the series. But Chris Paul finally got to the conference finals. So let me start with this, baby. Let me ask you a question. How many people out there listening on radio or watching on TV? You're smart and you're really committed, but you work at a place where you just don't feel people are as committed as you. You don't think they're maybe quite as bright as you, and it's frustrating, right? It's frustrating. And that's why I'm a big believer in mobility in America. I've moved. You will move. You're never going to get your first job right. You generally don't get your second job right. You got to get to about your third and your fourth job when you have power and you have a choice to get it right. Right boss, right money, right vision, right coworkers. Nobody comes out of college and gets the perfect job very often. It's just not the way it works. And your second one you don't. Takes your third or your fourth. That's where I want to start with Chris Paul. Chris Paul's always been great. He was great in New Orleans. They were dysfunctional. He was great with the Clippers. They and Blake Griffin and DeAndre Jordan were dysfunctional. But this is why I'm a fan of mobility, is that eventually Chris Paul ended up in a franchise with a general manager that went to MIT, with a basketball coach on the forefront of analytics and three-point shooting, with another self-aware alpha male, James Harden. Okay, Chris Paul's always been great, always been smart, always been committed. But no individual can overcome dysfunction. Everybody loves Westbrook and John Wall and Derrick Rose. You know what they are? They're Bitcoin. They're cryptocurrency. Roller coaster, highs, lows. I made $1 million, I lost $1 million. In a 48-year period, they're exhausting and they're exhilarating, and honey will never work again, and honey, we have to sell our home. Westbrook and Wall and Derrick Rose, and then there's Chris Paul. You wake up every morning, you're getting 10% on your money. An elite defender. Really, really smart. The president of Players Association. Smart, committed, 10% returns every morning. And oh yeah, unlike Wall, Westbrook, and Rose, he doesn't dunk like them, he doesn't jump like them, he doesn't do crossover like them, but he actually puts the ball in the basket at a much more efficient rate. He's the safe investment. You don't have to worry about checking your 401k with Chris Paul. You're getting 10% every year. That's why I love him. And that's why I am a huge believer in player mobility. LeBron had to leave. After 7 years, Cleveland couldn't get him a single all-star level player. Chris Bosh had to leave Toronto. No other great players wanted to go there. Kevin Durant had to leave Westbrook. You can't play efficient basketball with Russell. And Chris Paul, by the way, in New Orleans, the Clippers, and this year, Houston, each franchise, he set the record when he was there for the winningest season. By the way, how did that work out for Blake Griffin in that divorce? Chris Paul, without him, won 65 games, conference finals, 58-10 when he plays. Blake Griffin traded to Detroit, got a coach fired. Clippers were better after he was traded, and the Pistons in the East were sub 500. You were all in on Blake. You were never in on the 10% annual safe investment. Congrats to Chris Paul. I want to dig a little deeper as I segue to my second topic, which will sound somewhat like the first, but it is interesting. Westbrook got Paul George and Melo, and they won the same number of games. Chris Paul goes to Houston. They win 10 more games and now advance to the Western Conference Finals. Let me ask you, would LeBron ever consider playing with Westbrook? I mean, come on. I mean, that he wouldn't even take the phone call. LeBron's best friend in the league is Dwayne Wade or Chris Paul. Chris Paul's the Player Association president. The vice president is LeBron. He asked him to serve, and he did. But we keep making excuses for Westbrook, and yet we've already weighed in and decided Chris Paul's not the guy. I am a huge believer in this. How many people can you get to call on your behalf in life? How many people, when you're in crisis, like let's say it's like at a resume you have references. So just think about this for a second. You've already decided Chris Paul until last night, and now you're kind of guilted into liking him. You've already decided Chris Paul is not a finisher, and you keep making excuses for Westbrook. Here's a great testament in life if somebody's legit. Who are the 10 people who would call on Chris Paul's behalf? LeBron, the best and smartest player in the league, would call on his behalf. Hey, hire Chris Paul. He's great. Dwayne Wade, an all-time top 50 player. All three of his former coaches, the about-to-be MVP James Harden, and probably the smartest general manager, perhaps in all of sports, Daryl Morey, who went to MIT. Adam Silver, the commissioner, would also call on Chris Paul's behalf. Let me ask you, who would call on Russell Westbrook's behalf? Kevin Durant? Oh, wait, time out. No. James Harden? No, couldn't play together. Former Coach of the Year Scott Brooks? No, Westbrook got him fired. Current coach Billy Donovan? If he had to, he would. Who's willing to call on your behalf? Enes Kanter, Victor Oladipo, James Harden, Kevin Durant, Sabonis, Ibaka, all got better once they left. Who calls on your behalf? It is interesting, though, isn't it? Until last night, people had overwhelmingly made up their minds. We gave Russell Westbrook all new pieces this year. They didn't win an extra game. The Rockets added Chris Paul. They won 10 more games and are now in the Western Conference Finals. It's funny who we support and who we don't. You've made up your mind on Chris Paul. You don't like him. I always did. You don't like him. You didn't. Not clutch. You told me. Years. Not clutch. Not the guy. Can't depend. Can't win. And you continue to enable Westbrook. It is remarkable to me. I am so happy for Chris Paul, who has proven something that is very critical in the NBA. It's always been about superstars. And it used to be you could win a title with one or two. Now you need minimum 2 and hopefully 3, which is why the Warriors will probably beat Houston. But here's one thing I know. If you don't play well with others, Dwayne Wade does, LeBron does, Steph does, KD does, Klay Thompson does. If you don't play well with others, Chris Paul proves he does. No chance in this league going forward to win titles. Chris Paul may not win it, but he's got a puncher's chance. Westbrook never will. Well, this past week, the young quarterbacks, Baker Mayfield, Sam Darnold, mini camp time. Darnold played at USC. You know I'm a big fan. I think Cleveland made a mistake, but he now is in New York. Similar to the Browns, little bit of dysfunction historically at the quarterback position, though Joe Namath is there. I could not be happier for Sam Darnold. joining us on behalf of K Jewelers. Don't forget, Mother's Day is coming up Sunday. Never-ending support, unconditional love, unforgettable gifts from K Jewelers. Go to K.com. And Sam's joining us on the phone from New York. All right, Sam, you got your first camp in. Explain it to me. A little overwhelmed, fit right in. How did it feel for you?
Hey, Colin. Thanks for having me on.
You bet.
First of all, yeah, it's been amazing. First camp went really well. Obviously, it was just, a couple days install, really, the basic stuff, and it went really well. Just getting along with all the teammates, all the rookies, all the undrafted guys. Got to see a couple vets there as well, but most of them are gone on their, week vacation or whatever they were doing. So, but I know the vets are back now, and I'm actually back in Orange County. I don't go back until Sunday, and then we start Monday with the vets. So I'm really looking forward to it. But rookie minicamp went really well. I thought I performed really well, and got used to calling plays in the huddle, which I haven't done for a few years, and got used to making a full cadence at the line, being able to change plays at the line of scrimmage. So it was a success, for the few days I was there. But looking forward to getting back.
Sam, when you were the quarterback at USC, it was understood you were the man. You were the same age, often older than players. You're not going to be the youngest guy in the franchise. Nonetheless, you need to control the franchise going forward and be the man. Have you thought about this flying to New York, doing camp, flying back? You're a 20-year-old, and you're going to be pointing fingers at 30-year-olds saying, do this, do this, do this. Are you comfortable in that space?
Absolutely. I always say it, but guys want to be led. The old O linemen, the veteran receivers, the running backs, they want people to come into the huddle and be authoritative and be able to tell them what to do. At the same time, I'm not going to tell these guys how to live their lives. I'm going to learn from them in that regard and learn how to be a pro. But when I'm on the field, I'm going to be the leader. As a quarterback, you got to be the leader of the team. You got to be the leader of the offense. You got to be that guy in the huddle to be able to tell guys what to do. And, at the end of the day, we got to be on the same page. And if we're not on the same page, we're not going to be successful. We're not going to move the ball down the field. We're not going to get first downs or score touchdowns. So it's about being as efficient as possible. And to do that, we got to be on the same page. And in my opinion, the quarterback has to be in charge of getting everyone on the same page.
Sam Darnold, Jets. Listen, you're a college student. You're in a dorm with your buddy linebacker Cam Smith. Now you go to New York, and you got a lot of money. You got to buy a house. And there's a lot of stuff going on in your life right now. Take me a little bit to, the non-football stuff with you. You got the parents helping you. Do you feel a little overwhelmed by it?
No. I'm. It's been awesome. I've actually, college life was awesome. Obviously, rooming with Cam Smith and everything has been amazing. And it hasn't really changed. I mean, I'm not too worried about buying a house yet. Probably going to stay in an apartment until I, hopefully find some success over the next couple of years. But I'm just, I'm living life the way I normally live it. I have some money, and that's the only thing that's changed. And it's been amazing. Again, referencing it earlier, but having the team around me, the people that have been there to help me out throughout this whole process. My family, my friends, but also, my agent, the marketing team. It's just been they've been amazing throughout the whole thing. And even, K Jewelers, you mentioned it earlier. They've been able, even throughout this whole process with Mother's Day coming up in the draft, I was able to get my mom something really nice from K Jewelers and for draft day, but also for Mother's Day. So it's just, with them providing, the support that they have throughout this whole process as well, being able to help me out in that regard. But having the whole team around me, helping me out, it's been amazing. But my personality, as you know, it's not going to change. It's just the things around me are changing, and the attention's getting a little bit more. But other than that, nothing's really changed from my end.
I remember the first time I grew up on the West Coast. I bounced around, Sam, for my career. And I remember the first time I lived in Connecticut, and I'd been there about 3 weeks, and I drove into New York. And the city is so big. It's hard to compare. You know, I'd been to L.A., I'd been to Chicago, Dallas, Atlanta. I'd never been to New York until about 15 years ago. And it was like, wow. And their media is tough. It is the center of the American universe. Their CEO of the Jets, Christopher Johnson, said yesterday at a charity event, people are going to look to this draft and go, it changed everything. Do you sense, Sam, how big this is and how many eyes are on you? Do you have a sense of that?
Yeah, definitely. And I know, whether it's the first year, whether it's the second year, being drafted as high as I was, I'm going to be expected to play, and I'm going to be expected to play well. Whether that's the first year, second year, third year, that's only time's going to tell. But I'm aware of the expectations. But then again, I have higher expectations for myself than anyone can have for me. So with that being said, I'm just going to continue to be myself. But yeah, I'm definitely aware of the expectations and what everyone's thinking of me and, how well I need to play. But again, I'm just going to, learn from guys like Coach Bates. Coach Jeremy Bates is the offensive coordinator, quarterback coach. Josh, Teddy, Hack, all those guys who are in that room.
Yeah.
Because they have more experience than me. So I'm going to learn from those guys and just build off of every single day, whether it's in the film room, on the practice field, in every aspect of life and in this game that we play.
How long do you think it will take you to own the playbook? That I say memorize the playbook, but that you're nimble enough that you could go to the line of scrimmage, Sam, and know every play. How long do you think that process, Sam, would take?
I'm not sure. I think the first year in the league, you just want to have a really good understanding of what's going on in the playbook.
Yeah.
But, probably year 3, 4, somewhere around there, you start audibling at the line of scrimmage, being able to get to the play that you want. But yeah, it's gonna take time. I didn't have too much experience with that in college. Didn't do it at all in high school. So there's definitely going to be a learning curve there. But I know talking to Coach Bates and the plan with what we're going to be doing is just whether I'm playing or not, being able to put myself in the best position to succeed. And kind of go about it that way.
Well, let me tell you, man, I know you grew up on the beach in San Clemente, but the fall's football season in the Northeast, Sam, when all the leaves change colors, there is nothing like September through November in the Northeast, and you're going to be at that facility. It is going to be so beautiful, and the New York media can be tough, but if you win, they fall in love with you, and they've got your back forever. I couldn't be happy for you. K Jewelers, go to K.com. Mother's Day is Sunday. I'm rooting. I'm going to get to a Jets game this year, and good luck to you, Sam.
Oh, yeah, I appreciate it. Thanks for having me on, Colin.
You bet. By the way, of the 13 USC quarterbacks drafted since 1980, none has won more than 51% of the time, and just 4 have started more than 29 games. The theory has always been that you grow up at USC, you've got the best players, warm weather, it's very comfortable, and then you get to the NFL, it's all about cold weather, muddy pocket, playing with lesser players. I've always said with Sam, New York's going to fall in love with Sam. Sam has got a very blue-collar work kind of ethos. He is different. That's nothing against Matt Barkley and Matt Leinart and Sanchez and Carson Palmer. It's nothing against him. Sam is different. You know what he really feels like to me? Sam feels like he feels like a quarterback for a non-glamorous program. He was just a quarterback for a glamorous program, USC. In real life, he doesn't feel like other USC quarterbacks. He was a linebacker in high school. Really excited for him. Before the end of the show, a really interesting comparison between East and West in the NBA. Maybe they're not as different and inferior or superior as we think. Hey, if you haven't noticed, we are already in May and getting close to the middle of May, and we got sports that are rolling, but it's also the time of the year where you just take off some clothes, go to the beach, wear less. It's going to be 70 degrees here within a couple of weeks in big parts of the country. June is right around the corner. Well, when you take the clothes off, want to look good, there's 3 ways to do it. You can work out, got to eat right, and take M-Drive every day. The entire M-Drive line, from M-Drive Boost and Burn to M-Drive Prime to M-Drive Workforce, is built on science with clinically tested, safe, and effective ingredients designed to boost your energy. You can get it online at buymdrive.com, code HERD, or prominently displayed at Walgreens, GNC, Duane Reade in New York, Vitamin Shop, or Sprouts. Refind your prime. It's getting warm. Work out, eat right, and take M-Drive every day. The entire line built on science.